Okay, I'm sorry I haven't made a video in so long, but I got really sick and I couldn't talk and I couldn't breathe, and those are both very important functions. Anyways, so I talked to you about intrusive thoughts. I talked to you about coping with intrusive thoughts. And now I'm going to tell you about my experience with intrusive thoughts. So, my intrusive thoughts started probably around my senior year of high school. I was about 17 years old, and I noticed they first started where I would feel guilty a lot, guilty of things from the past, things I thought that I did wrong, things that I remembered and I acknowledged they were wrong, and I apologized for them, but I could not let it go. I would obsess all day in my mind of all the things I did wrong, all the bad things I ever did, and most of them weren't even that bad. They just seemed bad to me. My boyfriend at the time was very controlling, and he didn't want me talking to other guys, and I felt guilty for talking to other guys and having friends that were guys, and some other things, some mistakes I made. But I was 17 years old. I mean, what do you expect? And it was an online relationship, if that counts for anything. Anyways, basically, I acknowledged what I did wrong, and I apologized, and I was honest, and I fixed everything to the best of my ability. But for some reason, I couldn't let it go. It really scared me because I hadn't realized at the time that I was doing anything wrong, and it just sort of all came to me as a great epiphany one night. And ever since then, I've always kind of worried that I think I'm a good person, but I'm really not. I don't know. That's a whole other story. Anyways, that's when the thoughts started. I felt guilty for my online shenanigans, among other things. I would start getting into the habit of compulsively confessing my thoughts all the time. If they were just thoughts, like bad things I thought, I would tell my boyfriend, like, I thought this and this and this and this and that, and this is where the main problem was. He didn't tell me it was okay. He didn't comfort me. He made me feel more guilty for my thoughts. So that didn't really help. But at the same time, my compulsion wasn't relieving my anxiety. So maybe that was a good thing. I don't know. Anyways, after that, obviously the relationship did not work out, and the thoughts sort of changed. I was able to forgive myself. I was able to let go of all of that, but for some reason, every morning I would wake up and I would have a thought in my head or a memory in my head of something I did or may not have done, or I could have possibly done. I don't really know if I did it or if I imagined I did it. Anyway, something I did a long time ago that I need to make myself feel so guilty about, and feel guilty all day and make myself miserable and make myself so sick that I can't even eat. Anyways, that's where it all started. My senior year of high school was unbelievably miserable, exhausting, horrible. And it carried on into college. Summer after high school, I spent working at a grocery store. These thoughts began to change. They weren't memories, they weren't feeling guilty about the past. They turned into, I wouldn't say, they went from obsessive thoughts to obsessive intrusive thoughts, random thoughts, new thoughts, thoughts of things I could do, thoughts of just not good thoughts. And I think a lot of it was I was stuck at work all day in a very boring job with nothing to do, no one to talk to, no outlet, just me and my thoughts. That didn't really help me. I didn't really know or understand what was happening to me at all. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was a bad person. I thought I deserved all this. I thought maybe that God was punishing me, or maybe the devil was in my head, or maybe I was possessed, or maybe I had a lot of crazy theories, and I'm not alone in thinking these things. And one day I couldn't take it. I needed help. I needed some kind of help. I didn't know who to talk to. I tried talking to my parents about it, and they didn't really seem to fully understand what I was describing. And you'll get that a lot. That's pretty common. The people who understand it are the people who have it. So I went to Google and I typed something in like, why am I obsessing and worrying over thoughts, or why do I have bad thoughts, or why do I feel guilty all the time, or like stuff like that, you know. And this thing comes up and it's called purely obsessional OCD. So, I click on it and I'm like, okay, so OCD, that's washing your hands a lot and cleaning your house and being afraid of germs, right? No, I don't have that. This is all purely taking place in my head, right? So I start reading it, and it describes what I'm experiencing completely, to a T, entirely. And I'm amazed. I'm like, I finally found what this is, and I know what this is, and I'm not crazy. And other people have this, and now I can learn about this, and maybe it will go away, please. It's not that easy, though. It's not that easy. So, I wasn't comfortable seeing a therapist quite yet. So I actually went and ordered books from the library. And one of them was called The Imp of the Mind. The Imp of the Mind by, I believe, a Harvard professor, psychiatrist or something. And I started reading that, and it was easy to understand. It wasn't written like a medical journal, like it was written for just the average person to read, right? And it talked about examples of people experiencing intrusive thoughts and how it was handled and how to cope with it and why it happened. Just a lot of information that I really needed at the time. And I noticed as soon as I started reading this book, even after I finished reading this book, I was really able to cognitively deal with my thoughts, my anxiety. I was able to take a minute for myself, sort of ground myself, sort of reprogram in my brain how I reacted and managed to these thoughts. To this day, I still have intrusive thoughts, but I'm able to deal with them. The only time I have trouble dealing with them is when they're about other people, because I can't control what other people do. not really sure how to describe. Here's an example. It's not my example, but you might, for some reason, be concerned that someone you care about is doing something wrong or doing something bad. Or you might just be having weird thoughts of them being a psychopath when they're not, or them, I don't know how to explain it. Because the thoughts about you and what you might do or your safety are easy to deal with because you're in charge of you and you're in control of yourself. But when they're about other people, they're really, really hard to deal with. And my intrusive thoughts have branched out into OCD with compulsions. For example, I drank mandarin orange soda, and the next day my mom ended up in the hospital and almost died. And after that, I to this day, I still will not drink mandarin orange soda. And in my mind, I know that those two events are in no way connected. But here's the thing. This is what I believe. OCD and compulsions are a coping mechanism, a very bad coping mechanism. They are a way for you to try and make yourself think that you can control bad things from happening by doing or not doing or avoiding mundane actions. Some people think that if they don't go and flip the light switch 6 times, that their whole family will die. And that is because they love their family. Their worst fear is their family dying. And it frightens them so much that they have convinced themselves that by doing this small action that they can control the world. And you can't. And you know you can't. But you have so much anxiety, you have so much worry that you need to find a way to make yourself feel in control. And that is one of the hardest things to conquer. I'm still dealing with this. I've come a long way, an extremely long way. I've accepted that I'll probably have to deal with this my whole life, and that's okay. I'm just glad that I can be here and I can help other people who are dealing with the same thing.